It's 7 PM on Tuesday, November 22nd. We're gonna open the administrative board meeting. Roll call, please.
I have trustees Chris Samples,
Here.
John Talbot,
Here.
William Lexinger,
Here.
Nathan Maz,
Here.
Jen Christensen,
Here.
Bill Motisi is absent, President Rick Worm,
Here.
Treasurer Brenda Onabini.
Here.
I clerk Sandy Mazem here and Public Works Supervisor Brett Fergie.
Here.
All right, tonight on the consent agenda, we have two items. Item one, October 25th, 2022 administrative board minutes. Item number two, bills payable warrant list dated November 22nd, 2022. For a total of $137,219.26. At this time, do any of the board members wish to remove any of the items for further discussion?
Let's just approve them as individual, it'd be faster.
It would be.
All right, just,
You want to remove them?
it'd just be easier just to make the motion on the two of them.
Well, if he started, do you have to remove them then?
Do you want to
Somebody
remove them?
has to ask to have them removed.
Yes.
All right, can you remove items one?
All right, so items one and two are removed. That is the entire consent agenda. We will move on to item one independent, which is C on our agenda.
Make a motion to approve October 25th, 2022 administrative board minutes.
Second.
Chris makes a motion to approve October 25th, 2022 administrative board minutes. John seconds. Is there any discussion on the minutes? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Motion passes at 7:02. Excellent roll call because it's money.
Make a motion to approve the bills payable warrant list, November 22nd, 2022, total $137,219.26. Second.
William makes a motion to pay the bills payable warrant list. 10 seconds.
That was me.
Oh, so
That was,
Nathan.
my voice is not that deep.
Yeah.
Maybe his is just that high.
Is there any discussion on the warrant list for bills payable? If not, roll call please.
Jen,
Yes.
Bill is absent, John,
Yes.
Nathan,
Yes.
Chris,
Yes.
William.
Yes.
All right. For officers, I have nothing this evening. Well, I shouldn't say that. Update. We were contacted by the gentleman back that wants to do the grocery store. Try and see if we can do this concurrent with the grant project. See if we can cut costs on both projects. Oh, Bill, you received mail word.
Yeah, yeah, I'll talk to you about it.
All right.
Be great, but I wonder how they do that.
We'll see.
They haven't responded.
They did respond.
Yeah.
Did
Matt,
you get, no, did you get an
AJ.
email today?
yeah,
from
no, I
them?
got that from him. I meant Matt or
what?
Grocery
store.
Who responded to what?
Well, you were.
I sent out an introductory email to board members, to Chris and to,
I didn't get
I don't know, just me
No,
and Chris.
yeah, I
And
can't have.
To
more
a
than
board
two.
member?
Can't be
Yeah.
more.
Well, I
There
can't.
can't be
do
more than two of us on it,
All right.
otherwise we get into trouble. And then to Matt and to Dan
Forward
about the gentleman that wants to bring
Oh,
in
can you
the
do
grocery
that?
store. He would like to be in the parcel next door to the project that's going in as part of the grant project. And if there's any way we can do them together, I'd say at the same time, not together, because the grant project is very specific to what it's for. But if we can do them concurrently, we may be able to save costs on both.
Get economies of scale. And the problem is it's hard to separate. And I just wanted to see what Matt was.
Exactly.
His cost to build would be different than ours. Maybe, because he doesn't have to pay
Are
any
you talking
prevailing
about
wage or
the
any of that garbage.
It's
Was
already
that-
Talk about the water sewer hookup part of it.
Oh, but I mean, oh, you're just talking about that.
I mean, I don't. that's-
Right, just talking about the.
But if you had the same company
Infrastructure.
both build at the same time, you could save money.
John,
Yeah.
no, John makes a valid point, which is that he wouldn't have to pay prevailing wage,
So
whereas
the
our rates
cost
are
would
going to
be
be
different.
prevailing wage rate. So that is a
Yeah.
good point to bring
It is.
up. Something to think, discuss.
Something, right,
Be
and
better.
again, this is the beginning, very opening of it, it's just the introductions, he's willing to come in. They're operating 5 currently, with a 6th that they're looking at picking up, and then 7th that they're possible for Kirkland.
And he's not interested in renting, then someday down the road owning.
I'd prefer to have him build his own.
Yeah.
If he's going to, I would too. If you're willing to build
Exactly,
another
Definitely,
building.
yeah.
I'm
That way
good.
we're out of it. But leaves us, all we're
I don't
doing is
wanna
helping
be
him get to that point.
With the building that was.
Please
built.
don't.
Oh, that'd be nice.
Right.
Mhm.
Never have to leave town except for work.
So he was originally, he's looking, according to today's email, their smallest one they run is 7,000, so that would be the smallest they can go with. But he was also looking up to 11,000 where he would have additional storefronts available for rent,
Oh, so
which is something we get a lot of questions for.
he's building a place or a strip center, so to speak.
Smaller, similar to what's going in the project.
Right. More businesses, the more attraction.
So that started this week.
It's good.
Better for.
That's why I couldn't copy you on it.
I told him cut you out.
She did.
Uh-huh.
She's like, throw him to the wolves. All right, move on to Sandy.
I
Um,
don't.
so you'll notice on the agenda tonight that none of the resolutions have numbers because of this first conversation I need to have on the first one. So, we are kind of run into a problem with our IT and where we're at in the management of our server and our computers within the village. We have something called a SQL Server license, which is handled by one specific company called CMJ, whereas our general IT is handled by Chris Falk still, and our IP addresses are handled by Kenny Lamer. So we're kind of divided among 3 people for our services right now. CMJ contacted me and let me know that they would no longer be offering to handle our SQL Server license outside of a management agreement with our organization. I've attempted to look around to see if I could find somebody who will manage a SQL Server license with no other obligations to our IT, and they're not willing to. Yes.
What's a SQL service license?
It's what prevents, so remember when we got the new server and you guys all tried to log into your laptops and you couldn't access the email within this building? It
Mhm.
prevents it from looping within this building and kicks it out so that you can actually access the server. So internally, our website went down recently. You guys didn't notice because it was still up for the public, but it was looping within the building again. So they had to come and mess with the licensing and the server again to push it back out. So the best way to explain is that it stops the looping within the village of emails and our website and anything else on an IP. So we pay for this license once a year. They come out, they update it. Doesn't take them very long. It took me a while to find somebody to do this service. But they will no longer do it outside of a license management agreement. I happen to know the owner from my leadership academy days. And so I talked to him and he said, you know, is there somebody else in the area that'll do it for this? And he's like, honestly, I would refer you to him if I thought that there was, but all of the IT companies are switching over to managed service agreements, which I believe William had referenced years ago, that this was the trend in IT. So they did give me a proposal for their services. The total per year, which includes 6 hours of unmanaged service time, was about 3,600. And so I had Brenda pull the costs on Chris, and it's unfortunately very hard to decipher because we've gone everywhere from $2,000 a year to $7,000 a year, depending on what our services with Chris are needed. So
about the same.
yeah, we may even, I've tried to delay this as long as I can for the last couple of years. I think they've pretty much done it because I know who they are through my leadership class, but they finally were like, Sandy, we can't do it anymore. So this is the proposal that I received. I put it in the packet. I didn't know how everybody felt about it, about moving to the managed server. I did learn after the fact that they also do SCADA systems. And I told them I wish I would have known that ahead of time, because when we put it out for bid, that would have been nice to know, to have another company. But I would eventually like to also get our SCADA backed up in-house, and they said they're familiar with that process as well.
So that's something they would do for us?
At a cost, but yeah.
Well, yeah,
They have-
obviously, but
Here's the thing, they have the ability to manage our system in one location. And so I happened to be out of town when our website started looping within the village, and Brenda called Chris and Kenny and didn't know about
Okay.
CMJ. And so we were charged for the conversation with Chris for him to tell us that he didn't know how to help us. So it's those
Oh.
types of things that I would like to,
interesting.
I'd like to just have one person managing.
Didn't mean we got paid.
So you have to pay
We
the
paid it.
$850 license plus the $221 a month So that's where you come out with your $3,600 a year or whatever it is.
So let me pull it up.
I read it and it was clear as mud to me.
Yeah.
$881
So
for 6 free hours or something.
So that was the block time that I've been buying. I've been buying their block time to manage that issue once, well, this year was twice a year. So essentially it's going to be the $810 for 6 hours of prepaid block time. So they'll just set that to the side as we need those hours, they'll bill against them. Our monthly service fee will be $221. That is to back up and manage, I think our 4 workstations and our server.
Yeah, they,
If they were gonna back up the SCADA project, would it behoove us to book another package of hours?
You can buy them as
If
you need.
So,
Yeah, but
Okay.
and John's right, we can buy them as needed. Once we're with them on a managed plan, we can go back to buying the block hours, which is what I've been doing now. They've been under my spending limit, so you guys probably haven't even noticed, except for in the bills, that we've been paying them because I've been able to purchase the block hours to do what I need to get done.
So does this agreement effectively manage our village computers, our network and our server?
Yes.
so does that
How
mean
much
we
is the
won't
food
increase
cost?
more, Kenny?
Huh?
How much is the total cost of the agreement?
I
36.
think it ended up being right around
Yeah,
3,600
it's-
a year, and that's including the 6 hours of block time.
so we'll no longer have
Kenny or
Kenny, or this streamlines all of that into one place, correct? So instead of having 3 people servicing us, we only have 1 now,
Yes,
if we choose to do this?
Yeah.
We still own and they're responsible for the equipment?
we would still own the equipment. I did tell them I do not want to go cloud-based to anything. We still like where we are, and they said that that's fine for now. I mean, well, as in the world of
Yeah.
IT, we know eventually that will become
You'll have to.
obsolete, but we're gonna hold on to it as long as we
So,
can.
yes, from my experience, everything going to management contracts, which I actually don't like either. I don't like not owning our equipment either.
Yeah,
I was actually forced to do this also elsewhere. I would suggest maybe before we agree to this, look at another option.
that's fine. If you know somebody else,
I do.
I do
They
know,
provide all the equipment and they replace it every 3 years automatically, no cost.
but our equipment's
Well,
new.
cost is built into your payment.
It is, but
Yeah.
their sales pitch is
Right.
actually right.
Oh.
It's because every single client they have all uses the exact same equipment,
Yeah, it
therefore,
makes it easier.
yes.
They know exactly
Yeah.
how to service.
Yes,
My
right.
only hesitation on that is our equipment is so new.
Right.
So
Those
new
ours, and we're using ours.
for
We're still
now.
using our own stuff because of that
Okay.
exact same reason. I don't want to be in the cloud either,
Okay,
but
But we could use ours in theory for a set amount of time until we have to switch over to something.
which is where we're at now.
Right.
the
We're,
only caveat,
I'm,
that they most likely don't know SCADA,
okay,
but that'd be a question to ask.
well, my first,
And 24 hour tech support.
my first question has been, do they know SQL Server licensing and SQL servers? And the majority of them have not. And so that's where I'm running into my hiccup.
they don't know Microsoft SQL.
Well, they know it in terms of its
Sorry.
existence, but not in terms of renewing licenses
Okay,
and
but
things
they-
like that.
My experience, the company we're using, and that I would suggest look into, provides. Not only in the server, they provide all the Microsoft licensing. In the agreement, therefore, nobody would have to buy Microsoft. Or Outlook license or Word license anymore, or Excel license, it's all. included. But on any computer,
Including your laptops. Cause that might be where it's beneficial because we own the licenses inside Village Hall, so I don't worry about those. We don't renew those. Those are our licenses.
but like any new unit with Microsoft, you can't buy a license anymore, you have to buy the
Month.
annual
And
subscription. So anything that we bought like in the past is still good for now.
Yeah.
Moving forward, when you buy a laptop, you can't buy a subscription and keep it. You have to buy.
Once they upgrade
Yes,
it, you're
but
done.
the ones inside Village Hall are different, cause those are all new computers in the last 2 years, last 2 years.
They've
That's
only
seems
changed,
longer than that.
Microsoft changed in the past year, 18 months is my understanding.
All right.
I would suggest at least taking a look.
Absolutely. If you have another one to give me that knows what an SQL Server license is, I am more than willing. But just so you guys are aware, this is where we're headed in terms of IT. We don't really have a choice at some point. I really enjoy our relationship with Chris Falk, and I don't want to see that necessarily come to an end, but I can't not have somebody doing our SQL Server licensing, which is going to come up in the next month or two. And so I have to have somebody who is willing to do that work before that expires. So that,
As small as we are, I assume that sooner or later we'll end up being on the cloud.
yes, but we're gonna hold off as long as possible. Like when we bought BSA, we bought it, server-based, not cloud-based. We
Right.
back up our own system. A lot of that is also because, we can then control the disposition of the thing.
Didn't
without
this
the server.
management agreement have cloud?
It does as a backup, as
Yeah.
an option,
Yeah, but
but
was it-
they did say they'd be willing to keep the backup I have now because
Oh.
it's significantly cheaper.
All right. So that wasn't priced into the 221.
It was not.
All right, I missed that.
The local,
Apparently it was
the
clear.
$50 for the local backup was,
all
but
right.
the cloud-based backup was an option that I asked them not to, because they wanted $100 a month, and I think I paid $179 a year right now.
Unless somebody hacks our system, then we're in trouble.
Yeah,
So we're gonna hold off on this, your
Yes, I'll-
resolution until
yep,
we get
I'll,
another quote?
yep, I'll look into another one and see what we can come up with. If, again, if somebody's got somebody who knows how to handle SQL Server licensing on a yearly basis, I am all ears, but so far this has been the only person I've been able to find.
Shoot me a text around, remind me I'm off.
Okay,
I'll call.
all right. That's all I had.
I want to back up me real quick. Tuesday night was the first meeting of a new group, I guess you'd call us. Loosely, it's the Greater Meridian Economic Development. It is the school district. You know, Center's invited, Stillman's invited, the mayors, myself, the townships, fire districts. To try to promote economic development and to support upcoming events within each other's communities or whatever's going on, so we could promote the like the electronics recycling. They could, you know, obviously support, help try to get support for Fall Festival in Stillman, stuff like that. But as far as being able to reach out to explain to each other what we've got going on, once it's more of a solidified thing where we could actually share it with our neighboring communities. Just to try to get that kind of support from one another, to see what's going on with each other and try to work as a group to bring in more economic development. So I attended that. I will be attending those without being in for meeting pay. I just think it's one of those things we need to do. So that's why the backups that much, you know, that started Tuesday night. It's only gonna be quarterly, so I think the next one's in February. I think it's February. That's gonna be. Hopefully we can get the townships and Steve to participate. All right, move on to Brenda.
October's treasurer's report is in the packet. If you have any questions, let me know. That's all. For now.
All right. Move on to reports, committees, community development events.
I am been working on our community Christmas, which is gonna be Saturday, December 3rd. The time is gonna be from 5 to 7. Santa and Mrs. Claus are gonna be there. We're gonna be doing crafts and games and just try to get a little bit back to the way we used to do it. I'm gonna have hot chocolate and cookies. If anybody wants to come, then you guys can come and help. I don't know what I'm all gonna have. I know I have some stuff. I have some of the Boy Scouts are coming to help and we aren't sure how many, but I'll take what I can get. I got emailed from Rock River Blood Center and desperate need of trying to have a blood drive. The national blood level is very low. So I talked with the new rep because the other person I dealt with, she left and I have a new one. And I am meeting with him next Tuesday and I scheduled one. I was able to fit one in December 17th. The Tuesday, we're gonna do it 2:30 to 6:30 at the fire station. So, hopefully we can get a really good turnout for,
It's when?
January 17th. It's the Tuesday after Martin Luther King Jr. Day.
Okay.
Figure that's the third Tuesday, so we don't have meetings. What?
The first time you said December. So.
Oh, sorry, January 17th, not December.
Thank you.
January 17th, sorry, 2:30 to 6:30. That's all I have.
Oh, finance.
Brenda?
No emergency expenditures.
All right. The packet is the discussion for the draft tax levy. Question is, since this is gonna be an over 5%, we need to choose some taxation hearing.
Yep, and
December 13th at 6 p.m.
Perfect.
and we're gonna,
Let me write that down.
Love it.
What
it'll be
day?
posted and
That is the Tuesday.
all that.
Really gotta
good
do
stuff.
6 p.m. Can we do it 6:45?
I am very fearful based upon the repercussions that the school district had to their 8% increase that we may end up with public. So I'd like to give sufficient time. We can always have pizza in between, but we need to probably have sufficient time. And I also plan on drafting some literature about the levy so that nobody's blindsided,
Like the fact that we're not even nearly maxed out or anywhere near. the
that it's
top.
not even a
Well,
$20 per
it-
100,000
Right, just to go with
increase.
the actual dollar
Yeah.
figures, because
And the-
that's,
Which we have.
Over
You
again?
won't notice us.
Well,
I've been preaching this for years.
the truth is,
Me too.
is when we discussed it, it was, that
Remember when we bought that international
30% was $20 per
the
house.
06?
Is an increase in the tax levy.
No.
So-
We bought
And there's too many people talking.
And then we did the tax levy directly after. that.
What's it
Well,
gonna
that
cost?
tax levy.
There's
in
still
another
too
30
many
years
people
is by
talking.
international.
Not it.
I know. So the side discussion over here was that it's gonna be a 30% and John asked what that was, but it's about $20 per 100,000.
Yes.
Not even
Per year.
per year.
Which is going to be nothing.
It's
compared
great
to
that they
school
just
district.
raised all. the evaluations.
Same.
The hundreds, that'll be a.
They just raised all our evaluations on our house.
Well, as long as you didn't jump a couple 100,000, you're all right.
Okay, we go with the tax levy. Move forward on that.
All good.
Sounds
Waiting
good,
for
Wayne.
approving taxation hearing. We'll pass it on December
Make him a
13.
16th.
13.
Get off the 16th. 16th is like a Saturday.
Is that Wednesday?
That'd be a
Friday.
Friday.
Or Friday, yeah.
It's not a good
I'll
day.
be in Florida, so
Good.
13 is good.
That's a Tuesday.
Moving on. What's the resolution number?
41.
Oh, it is a Tuesday.
All year.
There's an amendment to the village's travel meal lodging expense. And if I'm mistaken, the only amendment is that we added to the blank that you have to submit within 45 days.
Yep.
That is it. So I make a motion to approve resolution number 22-41, a resolution amending the village travel meal and lodging expense policy.
Second.
William makes a motion to approve resolution number 22-41. Nathan seconds. Definitely wasn't Jen. Any discussion?
I'm trying to be
I
deeper.
believe this is related to last month where we talked about implementing a timeline for filing.
Correct.
Yes.
After we had a few 6-month-old things that
Yes.
came in. Yes.
Correct.
And this will comply with the IRS rules that you're reimbursed before 60 days is up. Or
Look at
their
that.
tax.
Bob was,
No discussion. Roll call, please.
John,
yes.
Nathan,
Yes.
Chris,
Yes.
William,
Yes.
Jen,
Yes.
Bill's absent.
Passes at 7:24.
This one I don't. worry about. I think there was.
It's renewal of our insurance.
I know, I don't really want to. I make a motion to approve resolution number 22-42, a resolution approving and authorizing execution of commercial insurance policy and quote from Illinois County's Risk Management Trust presented by Broadmoor Agency Incorporated.
Second.
So why do you not want to?
Wait,
So
William makes a motion to approve resolution number 22-42. John seconds.
That's correct, sir.
Discussion.
Discussion. Why did you say that you don't want to?
it just seemed expensive.
Oh.
Even though it's
Sure.
production, your project, it is down $3,000. So
All right.
I'll give them that much.
It's cheaper.
It is,
It
yes.
is.
On that page, Chris, it's on.
Same number of employees?
Sounds awesome.
All right, discussion.
I'm good with it. I have no.
Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Nathan,
Yes.
Chris,
Yes.
William,
Yes.
Jen,
Yes.
Bill's absent, John.
Yes.
We are so protected.
Ordinance enforcement, Nate.
Done.
Oh. What?
I'm done.
Oh, sorry.
Now I'm done.
Okay, ordinance enforcement, Nate.
What?
He's not even paying attention.
Not. All right, Parks,
Sitting in
John,
Bill's seat.
Thought that was a little weird.
I was like,
I
what?
thought you,
just say no.
I heard Nate.
Nathan.
I know.
Nathan, Nathan.
Yeah, sorry, sorry. I was looking up text right now.
Rick, you just want Nate to
Got me
give
thinking about that.
his synopsis and then you're gonna lean in?
Well, I'd like to know, first of all, why it's on the agenda.
I don't know. I didn't put it there.
Because we still don't have a refund request.
Actually,
And you approved it. I did put it on the agenda and sent it to you for approval because we don't have a refund
Well,
request.
I do through PJ.
wait,
I don't have a refund request that Brenda can submit with paperwork though to the
Okay.
auditors.
I will get you the paper. But let's go ahead and discuss this. So tell me who put it on the agenda.
I did.
Okay,
I had no idea it was there, sir.
thank you.
I don't mind causing.
I
a
didn't.
fumble. I did.
You read the.
All right, so PJ reached out to me a couple weeks ago asking about refund for the early spring games that they didn't use through a series of bad decisions or bad execution on their part. They didn't request the refund, obviously even in the appropriate way, but in the timeline allotted by a policy that was enacted this year. There have been multiple discussions, multiple emails. You probably saw them in your packet. You looked at your packet of failures to comply with the new policy. Being that it is our school district and being that we do try to stay very friendly with them, and we are starting this new committee with them, I would like to issue them the refund for those games.
Credit or a refund? I thought
Just-
it's both.
Refund.
All right.
Cause it was practices and games.
Well, just stuff early, in the year,
Further-
you know, if I'm right, what you told me, it was early in the year, the weather prevented them from. But we may have, they may have canceled later than possible, look, they should have, and we put time into getting out there. Just, to be honest, but I mean, again, for the political end of it, I like to keep the relationships healthy. And
What relationship?
Just,
with the school district.
just out of curiosity,
That's what I'm asking.
we would have.
Mine is very good with
refunded
it. Some people choose not
them,
to.
and then, right, then,
Hold it.
we would have refunded them. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
So it's just a matter of
So
them not following the rules.
but I've never received
Right. No,
received that.
I got that.
And I, you know, I, and
Still have,
know-
just
So-
the same.
and you know, I can't pay stuff just
Understand.
because.
So by, let's say, for instance, we approve this. What does this open up for anybody else that feels the need to, or not need, but comes across the situation where there's a paper trail of communications where they say they're going to do something in the time that they're supposed to do it in, and then they choose not to do it for whatever reason, they forget, whatever it is. And then they come back later and go, oh, I still need that. But yet still haven't done any of the paperwork that needs to be done to this day.
Again, I can.
Like, at what point do we say, cool, like,
I can
you
have
know,
that
let it in?
conversation with PJ, and I plan on having it regardless of how this turns out,
Right.
about the failures of paperwork. I don't want to say people. But again, I personally would like to issue the refund to them, and I can give to get paperwork to do that, I can do that. What that opens up for any other organization,
I mean, because it opens the door for crediting everybody who has this issue. I mean, is what it does, right? So, I mean, we got to treat everybody fairly, not just the school district, because we want to play ball with them, even though the game is skewed.
and there are things you do for political expedience that you will do to keep relationships alive.
Yeah, I'm for just
How much is this?
refunding the money, but I think
I
going
don't have
forward.
paperwork.
I
that-
agree, 100%.
all right.
Going forward,
We don't know how much it is.
Okay, but if we had a ballpark
I
guess,
haven't
it's
submitted.
a little
every-
over $1,000, like 1,017.
Is this also,
Maybe
gonna-
20.
is this gonna be including
don't
the
know.
reduction for the unpaid services that they have to the village? Because they didn't pay for that cross-country meet yet either.
All right.
That's a separate subject.
That's stuff.
But if we're gonna refund it, that's
Or
what
credit,
what
right?
started this conversation is she asked for the credit to be applied to that cross-country meet. So it really
Well,
is
and
relevant.
if they ask for that, by all means, then we can do that. Well, I'm at,
why don't we just wait until see where the paperwork comes in, then we can make a decision then? Or do we have to make a decision now?
I'm
Because the paperwork may never come in, so.
I'm asking if I get paperwork here, which I'm sure I can.
Well, then why isn't it?
William?
Confused.
Yeah.
Well, again, I was given the request from
I do
the
have-
superintendent.
Say,
I was given the request from the superintendent, not from the person in charge of the fields or
Okay.
in charge of their sports direction or whatever she does,
Yeah, athletic.
Athletic director.
whatever her role be. I was given the request from PJ and that's what I went with. That's who I deal with there. I don't deal with other people.
in my long, I guess, I don't even say long, in my tenure on this board, the conversation about the fields and the school usage has been a reoccurring conversation for years. I don't understand why it's always been so complicated. I really don't.
I don't either.
Further, I would question, not like interrogatively questioning, I'm literally questioning, what relationship does the village have with the school district? What do we benefit from the school other than having a good, outstanding school district that attracts people to our community? I don't really know what they do for our village. And lastly, what I'll say is I do have a problem issuing a refund out of a revenue stream that happened last budget year. I would entertain a conversation about allowing a credit, but I have a problem with the refund from the last couple of years.
More comfortable with the credit myself.
So he puts the credit on the table?
I would entertain a credit.
Yeah, I don't think I didn't, I didn't think
But
about that,
energy.
but you're right, because across fiscal years, even though we're kind of a cash,
Right.
you know, it would probably be better to
I
get.
do agree, it's kind of a moot point that there's, I guess, I also have a problem with the circumventing of our process. And the superintendent just calling you directly versus following the procedures the village hasn't.
I don't know if he knows about the policy paperwork or not. I don't know if he was included in those emails.
Well, somebody had to tell him.
Well, I'm sure she reached out to him and told him that they weren't getting the refund.
So since your conversation, there's been no follow-up to let them know that there was paperwork not missing?
No, I haven't talked to him about it yet,
Oh, okay.
because I wanted to find out where we stood before I go and talk to him.
We're paying.
We stand at, we need some paperwork still.
Understood. But
I don't know, would you think he would
keep
think,
beating that horse.
would he think differently if he saw the paper trail?
I don't know.
Do we have a policy
He
on
may,
how long you can
because-
submit the paperwork?
Yes, it
Wait,
is in your
it
board
wasn't in the
packet
packet.
on the agreement that was signed in big bold letters. They have to request a refund within 30 days of the end of the season or the date that was canceled. But big bold letters, third paragraph down, the front page.
Determined and.
So, and we're at currently 4 months past that?
6 months.
6 months,
6 months.
7 days.
Maybe.
Even better. All right.
I would- If he saw, if he investigated into it and he saw the other side, I would think he
That's
would.
not for us to worry about.
No, but I mean, he's only taking one person's side. He doesn't know.
Well, I was thinking 1%.
So they're just trying to do what, help their fiscal budget, but.
At the end of the day, at the end of the day, the conversations that I remember having
One
with
of
the
us
school
had a
district about this is twofold. One, that they want to utilize the nice facilities for the sporting events that we have. And two, it's cheaper to rent our facilities than it is to maintain theirs.
Mhm.
That's what it comes down to.
Right.
You know, you're gonna pay for it one way or another, though.
And I would like,
We already.
And they do, and they understand that. It absolutely. And I think it was the school district, and I could be totally wrong here, but I think it was their request to
Right.
create the funding for each individual usage to lock them in. I could be wrong, but that's what my memory's telling me.
No, I thought that was us.
so it's actually, and if you read the emails from Nate, I'll let him stop me if I'm wrong. He does specify in there that they are using our fields, and if they pay for those fields, it locks them into it. But it also means that we maintain them. And so whether or not they showed
no,
up,
we-
our staff still maintained those fields during.
And had it ready and
to get
yeah.
them
But the
ready.
school wanted, we wanted an agreement to use Highland and the school
Yes.
district for sporting events for us, and that was a no-go for them, and they chose
Yeah.
and wanted the billing method.
Correct.
Yes, because
which I
River
couldn't-
Creek offered the IGA and they said
Yeah.
no.
Now, did they want it because it was easy to get a credit?
Officially or unofficially? They didn't want
I'm not,
the big,
Now we're just getting-
but the partial.
anyways,
So let's get back to.
I'd love to see.
I was just gonna say, we entered into negotiations for an intergovernmental agreement. We couldn't come to a amicable solution, so the decision was that the district decided to pay. I spoke I spoke to the AD and said, if you want these for practices, you do not have to pay for them. They use them from 3 to 5 o'clock. Nobody else is out there
In March, correct?
in the beginning of
Yeah.
March.
If you're lucky.
Nobody's using.
However, they said we want to pay for the rental because they wanted it to be prepped, room and set up exactly for 60-foot, 43-foot pitching room. I mean, so during those times in March, excuse me, when field conditions were good because of weather,
Mhm.
I would go out, room, set bases and prepare the field so they could use it. I did not know when they were or when they were not out there. I leave at 3 o'clock and I would look down the street and if there were cars there, I'm like, oh, they're practicing today. Or they weren't. So that they chose to rent and have exclusive use of, they wanted exclusive use of the fields for their practices. That's primarily the bulk of the refund. Is not for games that were switched and added. But for the practices that I maintained the fields for them because they were renting them. And so then rather than communicate with me, we're not practicing today, yada, yada. It was just, I would go out and do it. If it wasn't raining and it was nice enough to groom, I went out and groomed them or prepared the field. So I didn't have much communication from the coach or the AD on when they were or were not going to use it. They just reserved that 3-week block prior to the season beginning and the games beginning. So that's the big bulk of the refund is that time period. In the future, I will not be renting baseball diamonds in the beginning of March because I don't feel like going through. If you want to come out and use it and it's good, go ahead, knock yourself out. But I'm not scheduling or reserving fields in the beginning of March anymore. The second suggestion was that somebody brought it up, a credit. I would have no problem with, doing the same thing next year and not charging them because they are doing practices. But I would have to caveat that with the expectation that, I may not get out there every single time and whatever, but
if we're putting money into prepping them, then we probably shouldn't be giving a refund no matter what, once we've done it. I'm just saying.
Again, I don't keep and the other thing I'm going to have to do is keep a diligent logbook of the work that I do for those rentals. So that way, if there is a request for refund, I know exactly to a T every time, every dollar and hour I've spent doing those and also not providing or not renting them out in that time of year when it's terrible weather and most likely going to.
Let's do this to make this a little briefer for the evening. I will take the information presented from members of the board and supervisors back to PJ, including the stream of emails, and have a further conversation with them before we try to make a decision on this. Just to see where he stands after that. Is that will be giving him a little more information about what happened. Give him what the thoughts were presented here tonight, and we'll see what he wants to do from there.
I'm comfortable with either one, Rick. I mean, this wouldn't be the first time that we've used discretion in how we enforce our ordinances or other things. Fences and easements is an example of something that's clearly written down what you can and cannot do, but yet we sit here and we allow. To go to your point, we almost have to allow anyone who wants a fence easement, whether it's in the waterway or not, simply because I appreciate that argument, Nate, but I mean, we have black and white and the politics is the shades of gray. And Rick has that discretion.
Again, I will take what was said here tonight.
I'm comfortable with whatever.
Before making a decision, we'll run with that, see what he has to say. And come back to the board. Still you, John.
That's all I have.
All right.
Hold on, that's not all
that's
you
not-
had. We had a supervisor meeting and, I laid down the law and I asked for the pond project to be on my agenda on January tenth for approval to go out for bid. And so Nate is laying down the hammer because I'm not gonna mess around with it anymore. So there's your warning, John.
I can give an update. We do have updated proposal from them to re-engineer a smaller scaled project that would fit our budget. So I will get that to you. I just had a conversation with Jason today, so I was gonna bring it up till then. So I'll.
You get that to me, I can put it on the consent agenda or not the consent, the
And-
committee agenda for next week.
And he is well aware of that.
No
that
meeting timeline.
2 weeks, sorry.
That is a doable timeline for the
Perfect.
meeting, so they can provide it.
In 2 weeks, there's no meeting next week. So the committee meeting.
January 10th.
January
This one's going out for
10th is
bid.
The
It's a bit.
the first regular board meeting in January, and I want to put it on the agenda to put it out for
For
bid at
bid.
that time and no
I will not
later.
Be here.
That's fine.
I'll be on vacation.
Do we need your vote for that?
Uh,
I think.
Depends who shows up that day. That's
We'll
Mine,
call you. You can attend remotely,
There'll be
do
no reception, promise you that.
Cause it'll be his phone will be in the water.
you're waterproof now.
anything further, John,
How much?
No,
or Sandy for John?
No, sorry, I just
No.
want to make sure I told
How
him.
much?
we're clear.
Utilities, Nathan,
That's perfect. Just skip
Yeah.
right over streets. We're good.
I did. Oh, sorry, Chris.
No, that's all right, because
Hold on.
I have no idea
Chris
what it is.
complaining.
anyway.
It's another.
Good in streets.
Saying it, it just trying to keep with the
All
order.
right,
I was okay with skipping.
okay, so, Kenny.
Was, I wrote the pond update underneath streets as well.
Oh. Penny Lamer reached out to me as their custodian or head custodian or whatever head maintenance, but I don't know what his title is over there.
Superintendent.
What is he called?
I think it's
Superintendent.
Director of Buildings and Grounds.
Director of Buildings and Grounds, because they needed salt. And I asked if it was an emergency situation because he contacted me right before this last snowstorm. He said, no, they are looking to purchase salt for the upcoming winter. They were not aware that their salt supply had run dry. And so they are asking
Not
us
aware
to
that you're-
purchase some salt. He said he's averaging about 30 tons. In my discussions with Fergie's not comfortable if we choose to sell them salt, giving it to them at any guaranteed tonnage because it would be based upon our usage and what we have left over. Yes,
Are we even allowed to read?
that was gonna be my next thing.
No,
I was
okay.
circling back to
No, I
that,
don't think we can.
but
We're on
I
state.
don't,
we have-
well,
We're on a co-op with.
we are, and so I don't know if that's allowable. I also don't know how much salt in our salt bin is co-op salt that is still called for, or whether that's severed salt.
What's co-op salt?
So we
Somebody
want to
else
see
owns it.
bidding.
State bidding.
Yeah,
But
just
that-
how we.
But you're paying for what you,
Sometimes, right?
what you, whatever you, in the state bid, which we did this year too, right?
Yes.
We do it. Yeah.
You're paying either 80, at least 80% up to 120. That's your salt. So I don't know why you couldn't sell your own
Because you're
salt.
buying it. The
Right, and I would assume you would be limited to sell it at cost if you were. willing
Well,
to do so.
so here's what I don't know. If the salt in our container is last year's salt, we don't have fresh salt, right? It's like,
We're taking delivery.
we have not taken delivery of this year's current contract salt. So since that contract has ended, is that still contracted salt or is that salt available for resale?
Why aren't they just buying from the state bid?
If they didn't do it,
No,
they didn't do it, they're out.
Last week that they didn't have access to salt,
They don't have a
It's a
place to
state,
put it.
it's a state bid.
closed.
It's closed,
We
yeah.
will bid
Yeah,
it
that was
in
months ago, wasn't
April,
it?
March.
Yeah.
April.
But they
Yeah.
actually didn't,
Months ago.
they actually didn't settle it till recently,
All right.
but the actual, when they asked you for the stuff was months ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They put that salt request in writing?
And add
No,
$1,000.
no, they did not put it in writing.
Oh,
Personal
oh.
No.
Why is that on the agenda?
Oh, because again, transparency, both things are on the agenda for that.
And
purpose.
add
I feel
$1,000.
like, I feel
No
maybe with your
request.
conversation, you should
Any
bring
paperwork?
So,
other stuff up too.
No. Next,
he
it's
just,
done. Move
he
on.
asked if it was even a possibility. I told him that I wanted to talk to
Okay,
the
Slow
board
down there.
to
We
determine
have
whether or
floor.
not it's even a possibility.
And then,
Well,
I don't,
I got the meeting.
hold on a second.
Could we add $1,000 to whatever the cost is if we
Oh
sell?
my
it?
Don't we
Stop.
recommended doubling the person
Stop.
price?
Fergie,
Well, we need
do
replacement.
we
cost at
have
least,
salt,
right? So,
extra salt or
I
no?
mean,
I mean, it's a kind of a moot point.
Like
if
you
you don't-
Well, I mean, I have a full building of salt and I have salt on order, but I can't tell you if we have extra salt because I don't know what winter's gonna bring. Yeah.
Well, you know,
I
we've also not taken delivery of all of our salt because we
We end
didn't
up
have
like-
room.
agreed, but I do not want to commit 30 ton of the salt that we purchase
I
for
wouldn't do
us,
that
for
either.
us. Yes, as needed. I'm very
An
comfortable.
amount.
I see your wheels turning.
do we have, because we didn't buy all last year's, right?
Yes, we got,
Yeah, we did.
did buy all of it?
We
buy
all of
it 20%.
we got 80%, barely
Yes.
made it fit.
Can we buy the remaining 40%?
No, that ended
that
what,
contract's done over.
September?
Yeah.
That's why I said the salt in the salt shed, the contract is over for. That's
Right.
our
Yeah.
salt now. That's why I said I
How
think
much is
that's
the
the
salt
salt
shed?
that we could
The-
probably.
It's full. I mean, I
Yeah,
don't
there's a
know
lot.
So the
exact
salt is
tonnage.
full, and
Yeah,
then
so
if
it's
we
like
don't use
25,
any in the
20.
meantime, and then our contract comes, we have to find a place to put
We
the new salt
have a
that
new
shows up.
contract already.
That is good.
I feel like that's a problem for the spring though.
Yeah, we got some
Might
time.
not be a problem.
We got some time.
So, I mean.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah,
So
we
I
got
guess-
January, February, March.
Yeah.
The first question I
We got a
need
lot of winter left.
Is the village even interested in this thing? I did mention to Rick that I would want it in writing with PJ's signature on it so that there is crystal clear, no issues. Everybody knows, everybody's aware of the situation.
I mean,
But I guess we have to figure out if we can or not.
Well, it's
Legal.
kind of, it's,
Right.
so in
Or
he
for-
said it
yeah.
would be at our discretion because he would have to make the determination as to whether or not he felt comfortable.
where
It-
is their salt dome?
They don't
Really?
have
Have
one.
one.
They get,
They would literally-
explain the township thing.
Oh, so, well, so the Meridian
Is there
School
anybody
District
else?
has gotten, not on the public record.
Mm.
My understanding is that they have gotten their salt from the township for the last however many years, forever. They went before the snowstorm to load up their trucks and the township said, no, like you can't have our salt
Ouch.
anymore. And so, they found a source for salt. Kenny would like something, perhaps something a little bit more closer, easier between the school buildings. So he has reached out to us to see if this is something.
I vaguely
Um,
remember asking about an agreement about either they wanted us to plow their buildings or something. I don't
Oh,
know.
that ain't gonna happen.
Well, we've,
sorry.
we
They
just,
wanted,
Not the whole building.
they wanted us to store salt for them at one time.
Yeah, well, one other year, I think they had asked for,
yeah, so they don't have a
we-
place to store salt is the
Yeah.
issue. Kenny said he will work on that for hopefully next year, but
Yeah.
in the meantime, he has to figure out. I guess they're driving, I don't know where Conserve FS is.
North.
So they're
I'm
driving,
assuming it's the north. I don't know.
they're driving up there to get their salt right now. He'd prefer something
I don't know if
that
it's somewhere
wasn't
that
putting
one-
so much.
Um,
I mean, upon evaluation, I mean, I'd be all for if we could spare this, allowing a set amount that we would be willing to give if and when they would need it to, like, if we had enough at that time. So like, you
I
know,
think if
There
we have
really
enough at Brett's discretion, I think it works.
Yeah.
But if we're sitting.
I mean, I would love to help out and keep that good neighborly and, you know, keep these positive communication lines available to this
Absolutely.
community. So, I mean, I
Don't
wouldn't,
want freaking
I would
report.
love to that.
It would still need to be in writing with PJ Capozzi's
Mm-hmm.
handwritten blue ink signature on it. So there is no,
Whatever reimbursement.
there's no issues.
No one I would expect for reimbursement for. Oh,
Yeah, we do have a form for that.
Correct.
In this scenario, there's not a form for
But we're
this,
still trying
but
to figure out whether or not we can spare.
Correct.
Rick,
It's basically the way I look at, I'm sorry, John, go ahead.
if Brett's able to spare salt despite the hard-ons or not the hard-ons people have for school district, I think we should be considering the children who travel on those buses. And in the event there's no salt for the roads, there's no salt for the sidewalks, there are more parties involved than just the district's inability to play by rules that we have. So
Well,
They have access
that
to
argument
salt.
of yours
they have access
mean
to
that we
salt,
should
John.
keep our salt.
Yeah,
That argument of yours means that we should maintain the
you
salt.
can take it either
yeah,
way.
but they have access to
He's
salt.
good at double
He's
speak.
looking for a closer location for the salt.
And in the event that they couldn't salt their schools, they would, I
So
would
they-
assume they would just take snow days or they would
And Kenny's helped
do
us
some
out.
remote learning that is now up and running. I
And
mean,
Kenny's helped us out of some
All right,
situations.
Here's my suggestion.
so they have options.
Hold on, go ahead.
while we're evaluating this, in the meantime, if there is a snowstorm or an ice storm,
Let's try to help
happy
them out.
to provide salt for the the parking lots while they're working through this.
I second that.
Not that we're
Absolutely,
voting,
which is
but
why
while we're trying to resolve
my first question to him was, do you need it now? Because we were on the day before a snowstorm. And so I did make sure that that was the first priority is, do you need it now? He said
Oh, I do.
no. And honestly, I don't think they do. They'll still continue to get it from Conserve FS as long as they're not getting it from us. But there is,
I would totally be willing to see if they want to enter into an agreement to split the cost of a new
Storage.
No,
salt building.
no,
They can have one half, we take the other half.
no,
I would.
Why no?
because it was a pain the last time I looked at it.
Sure.
Like I said, right now, everything's looking good. I mean, the season hasn't even really started. We're looking good. We've got a full building. We've got 8120 of 100 tons sitting ready to be delivered. I have no issues with it now. But at some point in time, if the bottom falls out, I understand what John's saying, but we also have school buses driving our streets. So
And
we got to look out for what we've got
the
if
other
it
thing
comes
to
to that.
remember is that if
If
it
it
does
comes to
become a
that.
harsh winter,
Yeah.
the state can pull everything.
I don't
we've
want to be
got.
buying salt at 17 rail cars from Arizona.
No.
No,
No, we won't allow anything to get to that point. So we're all good right
What
now.
does
We're all
our
good.
salt shed store and how much is in there?
Like,
We don't know.
we discussed.
I don't know. I don't
You know, that's the problem.
Bob Prout
There's
took it
gotta
with
be a
him.
way to know.
There's probably a couple
Well, we
hundred.
did the math on this once
I thought it was
before.
like 20
Yeah.
or 25.
Yeah, I thought it was 30
How much
tons,
is in it?
30.
It's more than.
You don't really know how much is in it.
I know what it holds.
It-
It's how much
What is
is in it.
right now, though, is the maximum capacity of what it holds, though, right?
That we can load
Yeah.
in there with a
Yeah,
backhoe.
Fuel
Yes.
loading, right?
Yes.
Yeah, yeah. Well, there is a way to
But if you got.
put a hole in there,
Yeah.
like dump more.
What,
But-
what is your estimate?
There's
But
probably,
give me a range.
there's probably a couple hundred ton, Chris. I truly,
Bob,
And we have how much can we buy? We have maybe a couple hundred tons. How much can we buy?
100?
we are at 100, we ordered 100 ton at 8120.
So if there is a couple hundred in there, that's like 300 tons for the season, which should be
Yes,
plenty,
give or
right?
take, yes.
Except for the year
Yes.
we had to buy the rail cars.
Yeah, we don't want to do that again.
Yeah.
Was that snowpocalypse where we had
On-
like 4 feet
That
of
was,
snow? or
yeah,
whatever?
we're sitting good right now.
Right,
That was
on
it that
average,
year?
we should have
No.
plenty. All right.
And that-
It
that's
was right around that time,
I don't
though.
know. I wasn't on the board then.
I don't see it being an issue
But
right
again,
now.
All right,
if everything goes sideways, the state says, no, you can't have your salt because we're using it for us.
and they will take.
So that's,
yeah.
that's why it would have to be at the discretion of whether or not we could actually.
I assume they pay us for the salt. though.
So then that's the next question is, what do we charge for the salt?
They,
Let's wait till we get this.
At least replacement costs.
Well, plus we would have to load their trucks for them.
oh, sorry, that'd be a charge.
So,
Well,
Well, I mean, we're gonna take our manpower away from our duties to.
Right.
We,
You'd have to charge.
the charge for salt is gonna be the higher of whatever the purchase price was or the current market price, because we have to replace.
Right, that's why he said replace.
It's,
the
it's, well, no. Or if the purchase price was higher,
Agreed.
because we would take a loss.
Well, right, exactly,
So it's either the higher price of purchase,
whatever it costs to buy it now,
no,
No, whichever higher.
whatever's higher.
Yeah.
right,
so cost
whichever's
now.
higher, whatever we paid for it or whatever's not.
You're saying two different things.
Well, the truth is, it's probably more expensive today.
It is.
I think he knows what you're saying. He knows
I
what
know
you're
what-
saying.
Got it.
We're gonna take the higher of the two costs.
There you go.
There we go. So in the meantime, though, we're all in agreement that we will help in the meantime.
If there is an emergency in the meantime and they need salt and cannot regain from anywhere else,
And during this conversation, I'll reach out to him and say he needs to request it in writing, in blue ink, no less.
no,
Blue or
that's
black,
just
I believe,
PJ's
is the,
signature. I want PJ's signature.
I want the whole damn thing.
Blue or black.
Yeah, we'll make
I want
it.
written in
We'll
blue.
make it.
Official
In
government.
Old English.
Correct.
Again, I was willing to work with Kenny if it was an emergency situation. It was not. He is getting it from Conserve FS right now. He's ideally just looking for somewhere closer. I do suspect that once I tell him the price, we will probably be not where he wants to go because he was getting it cheaper from Conserve FS than what I think we would be able to sell it to him for.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
It's good to have a backup, though. I mean,
It is, and that's why I
It's
said
sad-
if
it's
there was
sad we
ever
can
an
buy it
emergency.
cheaper from Conserve FS than we can buy it from the state.
it's too late for us.
Sometimes
We already made that commitment.
Was it?
Honest, I said something we
Right.
purchased cheaper outside before.
Yes,
Now,
but it's not by, it's a couple bucks.
Do they have?
is it worth entering the an agreement with the school district, similar to what we entered with the village of Stillman Valley.
I absolutely
When
think
we have
so.
language in place to provide aid or support
Yeah.
with the other government entities, and we already have all that stuff in place.
Absolutely, it would benefit us. I don't see any reason it wouldn't. Honestly, we tried to do that same agreement with Monroe Center and they just wouldn't play ball. The more people that we can have in a mutual aid agreement, all the better.
I would agree.
And
It would resolve some of these things and already have them predetermined in pricing and language.
Yeah.
Use language.
agreed. Because you're right, our mutual aid agreement does set forth what the cost, what they pay to us for using our equipment. Yeah.
Mhm.
Do you want to talk to Jay about that
I
too?
will
By the end of the winter, they're not gonna
shoot
be
him
cheaper
happy to leave me
there
alone.
than what we buy it for. I guarantee it.
Yeah.
Well, let me look up that number and I'll get back to you guys in 2 weeks with what the number for salt is.
We sell little,
All up at
little Dixie cups up there for like $100.
All right, yeah,
We're not-
yeah,
You're not
He did.
guaranteed anything.
I'll tell you
Yeah.
later.
If needed, there's a big dome right down the street here. I know how to get in the gate.
Just take your dump truck and push.
Strike the video.
That's all I have for streets, right?
Yeah. All right, we're done with streets. Should we skip utilities? Utilities, Nathan.
There's a discussion on updating of building codes on the agenda for me. Sandy and I discussed and have also discussed with our building and code enforcement company about updating some of our current codes. I would be sitting down with him many, many hours and going over and updating us to
Think so.
whatever would be the most current that we could come up to.
I think you said 2021.
Right.
It's 2021, William. Current code's 2021.
No, older, I think.
No, he said 2021.
I'm sure there might be.
IBC?
Yeah, I think he said 18. So I said
Unless the village
615, he said
adopted specific
18.
Codes, we are under the state codes.
We adopted.
We adopted.
This specific.
I thought it was 2016.
I thought we were 2016.
No, we're in 2006.
Yeah.
If you want to know where we are,
Life
we are in
safety code.
2006.
Oh, you're talking what's out there now.
Yes.
2021.
Yeah, okay.
I'm sorry.
Sorry.
I thought you meant what we.
So we're.
No, we are in 2006.
As Sandy has discussed, we were at 2006 and the current one is 2021. So there's a little bit of a gap in our building codes. That needs,
IBC.
that could use a little refresh. So Sandy and I discussed that maybe I'll sit down and do a couple hours a week with him until we get it all caught up. If the board is okay with that.
Sorry.
But what benefit will that?
Better.
All the development is under old codes. We can't change that or enforce it because they all have development agreements.
all development by that developer, but we have an astounding number of rooftop solars, which I don't even think are discussed in the 06, and we had to adopt our own code for that. And the additions, we've actually had 2 or 3 additions last year.
Yeah.
And so all of those would then need to be applied to the 21 codes and the basement finishes.
I could have sworn we went to 16 when Winnebago County did.
We did not. We talked about it. I sat on the board. I was supposed to be working on that. We started it and then it fell off when I left.
That's your fault.
Now, obviously, we're not going to adopt every single rule and regulation that's out there. I don't know that we're going to require our homeowners to have a sprinkler system in their homes.
That's exactly what I'm talking about, though. You can't because
You can't just pick
No,
and choose
it's-
what you take out.
You
you
can.
can't.
We did it.
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you think our current codes are?
Yeah.
Like we have a whole sections of our ordinance
But
code that says, please
You
remove this.
cannot go below the state
Minimum.
Yes,
States.
required
yes.
Right.
code.
Is that 2016 or
No.
2006?
The life safety code and no, yes,
All right.
last I looked. I think the fire code's been updated and I'm pretty sure life safety code's still 06.
But as we discuss with our code enforcements, what would be best for us to adopt and what would be best for us to stick with state requirements and to be updated as best we can. If he's going to be doing our code enforcements, he needs to be, I don't know, the most update that he can be too would be helpful. So he's on the same page with these things. So
Does it cause confusion if the builders are gonna be under 2006 and everybody else is looking for?
No, because they are what they are, but
So, because I'm sure he must be familiar with 2021.
I'm sure he's familiar with a bunch of stuff. Yeah.
I don't really have an issue with updating them for safety, but so. I don't know. You might get some pushback somewhere along the line.
You are going to. You could probably take our project development on 72 and probably increase it substantially.
Oh, really? Oh, that must maybe something we want to consider.
Oh, this code revision is not going to happen overnight.
No.
Yeah.
This is months, days.
Years.
There's not enough
Analysis and change.
outside
Yeah.
meeting pay for this.
Yes, this would not, I started on it, worked on it a full year and didn't get anywhere. And so I
remember.
suspect that if Nathan can complete this before his term is out in 2.5 years, I think he will have accomplished something.
We'll see. We'll see if some time off, and I don't know what his availability is to sit down with me either, you know, so it's gonna be, I mean,
I did
whatever our discretion is.
just one other question. Will this discourage people from coming to build in the village?
Why are you saying yes? No. No,
What do
the
you
only
think?
person building right now
Okay.
goes with 06 codes.
So when you
Which is
can build a house
way
without
under-
house
No,
map,
I'm,
or do you get away with certain things because we don't have updated
It doesn't
codes?
change any of that.
I'm thinking of the.
You can update your codes right now. It's not gonna change any
Anything,
new
Joe?
home.
Yeah.
Currently plotted or subdivided.
Only, no, only one developer has that and that agreement expires in 3-4 years.
So by the
Only
time I'm
one
done with
developer
this.
Only one developer has that agreement.
Then why are we still building homes?
That's the developer that has that agreement?
No.
Oh, you mean the other one? Because we're under 06 codes. Our code is 06.
You're going to drive, well, you're gonna increase costs on the cost of a single family home, yes.
But I'd like
Property
you to
value goes
know
up, sounds good.
that our developer
Property value
here,
won't
Silly
go
people
up.
to buy.
our developer here is currently developing in another municipality under the 2018 code. And they don't have any problems.
Well, that's what I would
Market
offer.
right then. But
Because when
Same
we,
here,
I-
they're selling them as fast as they're building them.
because from what I remember, when I took over or had ordinance enforcement, whatever you want to call it, we were building to the Boca codes that Winnebago County had in 1997 or.
Yeah, it's 96.
So I mean, it's come up a lot. And I think some of the conversations there were, and I'm not taking away from any code inspector's abilities, but you know, Casper was familiar with a certain set of codes that he was using in other communities. And I think that made that more easier, whatever the word we want to use there, to do.
Yeah.
And that's, so I mean, Nate just as throwing it out there as a suggestion, you kind of got to look at around us. What are they doing around us? Because I think if we're similar to what's around us, then they're going to be able to, we don't lose anything by being too strict.
Right.
Right.
So
You know,
everybody
exactly, like, I'm
around
not gonna-
us,
if everybody's at 2018,
they're
that's a
on
good.
2050. So
Okay.
back when I was ordinance enforcement after you, I think,
Position.
it is a popular position. The Winnebago County and all of the surrounding municipalities in Ogle County with Casper's help were moving to the 2015 code and we were the only person who didn't.
So I mean, there's something to, you know,
So maybe it's not 2021, maybe it's 2015, 2018, but I guess you'd have to.
yeah, I would definitely.
There's definitely value. I would just say it's gonna take an extensive amount of research and knowledge to understand it and then apply what will be.
I'm not choosing this because I'm excited. It's just needed. It's just something that there was a need and I just was standing in the wrong place at the wrong time and it was.
Most of us always are.
So because of that, I am now here presenting this to y'all, so.
It
Also,
kind of falls, kind of falls in, Thursday night, we had the mayor's dinner. And one of the mayors, I don't know which community it was, said that, and we have to update our comprehensive plan. We did it way back in 2007. And all I do is sit there laughing going,
Ours is 5.
Everybody's is old.
ours was 07.
Ours is old. Everybody's is old. Like all the mayors in that room kind of went silent because they're all
Don't
old.
really-
Unless you're a big,
The mayors or
Dixon.
the report.
yeah, if you're not a Dixon or Rockford, you're not.
You're not up to date. You don't have to full time on the staff, right?
And you don't have the money. It's
Yeah.
costly.
It is very,
Now, What is the cost to us for me meeting with him? Like, he's gonna bill us every time we sitting down and have an 8-hour discussion?
So this winter, during the slow time of the violations, I suspect that he'll just use those days, come out, tour the town real quick, make sure there's nothing going on, and then come and meet with you, because we have him designated for 8 hours and he hasn't even been using.
8 hours a week?
Yeah.
Okay.
And so we do them 2 half days. And so he hasn't even been using those, but during the winter, it slows down drastically. People are not, the violations go down because you can't really don't have tall grass and weeds under a foot of snow. So,
Unshoveled.
yeah.
So anything above and beyond that would be,
It'd be his cost, it'd be his hourly
hourly.
rate, but I suspect you could stay under that.
I don't think I'm gonna have much more.
Yeah.
8 hours a week. If I have to guess on that, but I could probably suffer through 4 to 8, probably.
Now, keep in mind, you can pick, not only can you pick and choose parts of specific code, you can pick which code you want.
Mm-hmm.
However, if you're gonna do like the mechanical code or the building code, or whatever, we typically do them.
And the energy codes one to have nice and current
Right,
rising costs.
with the changes.
Dollar
Get it
General would disagree
current?
with you.
Huh?
Dollar General would disagree with you.
Hey, that's their electric.
It's magic.
Thanks, Dave, for volunteering. Wait. Thanks.
Roped, lassoed, is I think the word.
Dog tie?
I appreciate you volunteering.
What else? Oh, I reached out to Rolling Meadows.
Yeah, Al.
And spoke to Al. I was informed that they are a for-profit business, and if I want to do all the legwork and provide them a solution, that they're more than happy to listen to something, but they're not changes or do anything special on their end, because there's no problem. And he also informed me, if he remembers correctly, how they bailed us out during our recent little hiccup, which so
How did they bail us out?
they took care of like 5 houses in Rolling Meadows.
Yeah,
They
they
took the
supplied
water out of the
water.
plant.
Yeah.
They supplied water to Rolling Meadows to Foxglove Drive. Yeah,
Yeah.
so
Ham-
they supplied
Yeah.
water to their residents.
So
For
he patted himself on the back for taking care of his residents.
which we do
Which is great,
appreciate your
yes.
help.
Awesome.
Yep.
Um,
I'm actually,
I am with that. I would like to move forward on figuring something out to fix this problem for our residents some way, somehow. How we do that is is how it's gonna be. So that's where I guess I come to you guys, and do we want to look into grants and things like the beautiful approach to this, or do we want to see what we can do to make this happen?
I'm confused. We can't do anything on their private property,
We can help, and we can do the reducer we talked about.
providing.
The other, where we provide a water source to them, and then we do a reducer and stuff like that at the, the flow reduction. Pressure reduction, yeah. And then we go about it that way. So, there's some things that we can do to help provide our water system to them without taking over their system. And
they
then,
have to want the water.
Right.
They don't want.
Doesn't sound like they want
Residents
water.
do, but he doesn't.
well, I don't think he's opposed to taking our water if he can charge them whatever he wants to charge them for the water, so because he currently charges them however he bills them for their water system. He wants to continue to do that so they can make a profit off of the system.
Well, that was one of our things.
That's why we didn't do it.
He could only make a certain profit to replace his infrastructure, as opposed to charging them additional and making a profit off of our water production. As I recall, was that not?
Mhm.
The idea was that we would hopefully be able to sell it to them as a bulk water. sale.
Yeah, yes, we would sell discounted water
Right,
So
in
that-
bulk,
right.
but they couldn't surcharge above and beyond a specific percentage that we were
Right.
going to negotiate for
Right.
that reason. He wasn't gonna profit off of our
Right.
water to the residents.
At this point, I'd like to do what's best for the residents.
And I
At
think
this
you-
point,
Well, it probably.
I just don't know what the right avenue to do what's best for our residents.
we've tried to go the beautiful
I
route.
got a little tidbit for you after the meeting.
Okay.
So.
But I wanted to throw this out there, this conversation. I'm gonna still kind of look at resources. There's some grants and stuff like that for private sector stuff too, so
We
maybe.
would want to know specifically, and not in a roundabout way, directly from whoever writes checks for that company. Are they wanting or willing to purchase water from the village to provide to their residents. I don't want to do any legwork unless
They want the water.
are even interested.
He said he would, he said he would,
Not a political, I'll entertain.
Cause
if
they've
you
never
can make a
taken-
profit off of water, I think he would take our water. I don't know this for certain, but I think, if he can make a profit off of it, he told me specifically, we are a for-profit
So in
business.
that, sir,
Me fixing our system is not beneficial for our profit.
we, just to, we would,
We're not fixing, it's not broken, he said.
we would meter the water going in
Mhm.
and that bill would go to him.
One big bulk charge.
What he does with it is.
A bulk water rate, so
Right.
it'd be a lower rate than what our current rate is to the residential. But
Potential.
that's the number he has to pay. Regardless of how he breaks it up amongst his meters that he has, anything that doesn't get metered to his residents,
It's on him.
it's on him. It's a loss. It's a leak somewhere in our system, or it's just acceptable loss.
That's a win.
Well, so, but at that point, we would want to make sure that they're not charging more than what our residents are paying.
That wouldn't be anything we could
And
control.
they are our residents, so
Through a bulk water.
through a bulk wall purchase.
But agreement at the beginning, correct?
But
Right,
that's
so
where it-
if he's buying it at, let's say, we'll just say we sell it for $3, he's buying it for $2.50, he's gonna make 50 cents every 1,000 gallons. Those aren't the real numbers, but
Right.
he could make money on it where he could.
Yeah, I'm not opposed to him making money. I mean, I just would like to make sure that we have,
I'm opposed to him making money.
Well, hold
I'm
on.
not opposed to him establishing a infrastructure
Fee.
replacement fund.
Right.
Not opposed to that.
That's why I said, he can make money
This is-
where he could.
from my understanding and the way I interpreted this conversation, I'm not saying these are his words verbatim, but my interpretation of the conversation was that their system is no longer broke and it works just fine, and that they have no intention of updating or doing any service stuff to their perfectly working system.
The fact that they claim that they're a for-profit business, I think they've listened to my podcast.
So,
Well, we always know they were for profit and we've tried to be beautiful, nice and a good neighbor for a lot of years. So I mean, maybe it's another closed session with Mark to see what the not so nice things to make them.
How many residences they have?
Hundreds and
couple hundred, right?
it's over
Is there a lot,
two.
right?
I don't.
Oh, it just
Couple
went up
hundred.
to 430, I think.
So long story short, Nate, I'd start to just see what
80,000
Mark
one?
has to say, what we can do and make them. And go from there, at least at that point, then he can't just do what he wants.
And
It'll be more costly and maybe he'll hear the threat of it and be more conceivable.
I mean,
to
it's
what-
not really a threat. It's just, we need to do what's right. And I mean, if there's a couple options that we can come up with where he can find a way to be happy and we can find a way that our residents have.
Well, we've explored those for so
I
many
mean, it's
years.
where I want to end this. So.
I'll be blunt here.
Just be dirty.
In over 10 years of sitting on this board, this conversation I've had numerous times.
Yeah.
I'm not willing to spend money on legal fees to explore something that we've explored a dozen times before.
With
Yeah,
different,
it
with
has-
other reason, or other things too.
It
You're
had nothing to do with the residents. I totally think they should be on our water. I totally think they should have good quality, clean water.
Agreed.
We cannot force the hand of a private business unless the system fails.
I think we
Let
could
it
force,
fails.
we could force our hand without it failing.
But it didn't fail, did it? Like,
It
Well, they were
will.
able to repair it.
yeah,
There is now.
You can't re-drill if there's water available.
We could force it without a
that
failure.
states There is language that Rick will discuss privately with William later. You've already mentioned it in an open
I know,
meeting.
but we'll just stay there.
so anyways, this is where we kind of are at the moment. So
No.
we can all mull this around and I don't know, figure out what we want to do about this. Like,
But again, simplest thing is to reach out to them and say, look, we can sell it to you at a bulk water rate. You can upcharge it to what the village's rate is. And that's as high as we will, in agreement, go. And you can make money on it that way. That's much.
what would be the,
We should be able to
do
sustain.
we have an idea of what the difference between our bulk rate and our,
They're listed. You got, they should be in there.
So there,
I don't know that off the top of my
yeah,
head.
they're
That's
in
not
the
set.
annual
Anyone else
fee
knows?
ordinance and I can look them up for you, but here's my hiccup in that. Is we don't even break even on our own water rate right now. And
True.
so selling them discounted water is actually harming us more. We should
Change your
be
bulk rate
selling
then.
it to them at what our actual cost to create and maintain our system to create that water is.
Do we-
And that's lower than what we charge right now.
Does anybody have an
Or that's
idea
fair.
of what they're charging a resident per 1,000 gallons out there?
I could ask.
Can we find out what is
Yeah.
the comparison to our rates? Because it's no secret, we are charging an infrastructure repair
Yeah.
fund now.
I remember when Jason was on the board, he said that it was astronomical compared to what ours were, but I don't know, but I do have some contacts out there that I've been touching base with occasionally, and I'm happy to reach out to them and ask.
Thought you're on their page.
Well, if they're making that much.
Just
of a
ask 'em on their
system,
page.
They're sure not coming to ours to make less
Just
money.
ask them on the
I
page.
try not to ask things on
Oh.
the page because of.
But
FOIA
if they
and,
don't have to
record
treat
keeping.
and spend money on chemicals and things of that nature, wouldn't that be a cost saving potentially?
It's
Be
just
able
whether
to
or not,
do that.
it's just whether or not it's enough to offset.
See if he wants it first and then go from there.
Yeah.
If they're making, let's say just off of every
Right.
1,000 gallons, they were making $10 and we said, here, we'll sell it to you, but you're only going to make $4. They're not going to come.
Right.
Why would you?
Okay, so
As a private
Sandy, it's okay to, you and I sit down to come up with a bulk charge or
If
figure all that stuff out and we can. come up-
Remind me,
Okay.
or when I listen to this tape, I'll be reminded to send you what our current rate is.
Okay.
But just keep in mind that we currently charge less than what it costs us.
And we come up with-
No, when we redid our water rate, did we redo our
Chemicals,
bulk rate too?
So-
more pumping time, that's more.
We changed,
I'm leaning not towards the bulk rate because we're gonna sell a substantial amount of more water that's gonna use more chemicals and more labor
Well,
and time. We're gonna
bulk-
actually drive our profit down.
bulk rate, I think is $10 right now.
For 1,000
Looking at me, or-
Yeah, you.
Oh, I don't keep.
Or you. I charge it, you know what? I know it is. It's $10 because I charged Watson $10 per 1,000 gallons. So it's $10.
Well,
Yeah.
at the end of the day, we could enter into an agreement at a price set just for that community to sell our water. It doesn't have to necessarily go off of what we have on the ordinance. So I think we just got to figure out what our break even number is.
Which
I don't think they're-
do have that information from when
Our
we
break
did the
even
water
number
rate
is way
study.
higher than what we charge anyone.
Yeah, I do.
So-
I do have the information from the water rate study. It is about
Well-
3 years old now, but I do have that information that says what our
But
rate
what I'm,
point is.
what I'm saying is if we sell them bulk water at a losing rate, the only people that are gonna end up paying for that are those of us who live everywhere else that are paying it. So that rate to them has to be a break even number. Otherwise us
Right.
and all the other houses are paying to subsidize their water. And one thing Rick and all of us have worked at is religiously is to get away from subsidization.
And I don't disagree with that.
So we gotta figure out what the number is.
For this.
Let's help them out, but we gotta
Let's
get
do it. If we have a bulk rate that is at our
cost.
break even, what our
Yeah.
cost,
Mhm.
and they can still, we can agree to what they could market up to. And it's still below what they're currently paying,
Then we got it. Yep.
then it's a win for them. They're paying less. We're making what we need to make,
Now-
making money.
Are we going to, now we would put the reducer on our end and all that stuff will come out of us? Or are we gonna try to come up with an agreement where we share costs for this?
It would be our meter because we'd be metering.
We'd want to own it.
Not the reducer and all that. It's not the meter.
We already have, yeah.
Yeah, the
It's
meter.
already there anyway.
Right?
Just pressure reduce.
So,
I'd say we could put it in, it'd be fine with me, but I mean, that's board decision.
We need to own it.
well, we,
Right.
right, I mean.
To reduce.
That's one of those, John, where it's kind of,
Yeah.
kind of maybe.
Right. 'Cause if it fails-
Which one?
if it fails and we blow out his system,
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
we need that, Yeah,
true.
it's I don't want, their system's not gonna be able to take any type of pressure.
well, that's why if he owns it and fails and blows out his system,
Do you really think
it's
this,
on him.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
If we get that.
that's
You-
why we
you-
get it all fixed,
Very
right?
true.
you anticipate this will improve their water quality?
Yes.
Oh, have you ever been out?
No, but I just thought their pipes were crappy anyway.
Yes, but I think that the quality of water that they have is
The rust
my
was all,
understanding.
Not
Do they-
filtered or
Do they
treated
have
or
a
anything.
large enough main at all to support a hydrant, fire hydrant?
They,
They have hydrants.
Only,
I thought they just the one in the front, right?
Right.
And they flush.
they have flushers, I know. I don't know if they have anything larger than that.
I don't know if their mains are big enough to hold anything because that would be another benefit if they did it, would be fire suppression. Cause we have one outside the wastewater plant and one
Yeah,
up
we've always
on.
done years over there.
Yeah,
right?
I would
So,
highly doubt they could.
Pretty sure.
You know, fire
It's been a long time.
not on our project. Actually, no, because
Man,
what's it gotta be gated down to? What's the reducer gotta be down to 20 pounds or something?
I think they're 35.
No, I would hope they could handle a little bit, yeah, more than that. I mean, because we're typically.
Cause they've bumped
80,
over
so-
100 PSI and held. And there's one
In their system.
on their system. They've bumped over 100 PSI and held.
Uh,
According to Hall, Hart, I'm sorry, Jeff Hart.
he
According to
prayed
Jeff
on
Hart,
that, I
They
bet.
bumped, they hit over 100 PSI and held. That's when we were having the arguments when Dan mentioned that we would need a pressure reducer and he
Why-
stormed out of the room because he was
If
mad.
they're holding 100 pounds, absolutely, we do not need a pressure reducer.
No, but that was a very, that was a, oh, we got pressure. That wasn't a,
Yeah.
we've got pressure.
Yeah.
And it's just static.
Okay.
There's no way you're gonna put a hydrant on that system because if you try to flow off of it, you're gonna cavitate the entire system and damage the entire system, I think.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I'm no engineer.
And I don't know what the largest main they have out there. Is it 4? Is it 6? I don't have. a clue.
Well, don't we see what Nate figures out? Go from.
Like I said, right now, the two hydrants you've got are
All right,
You want-
I'll get in touch with you to,
wastewater.
You got a lot on your
later
plate.
this week.
Which has already been.
Some point.
$8.53 is our break-even point in 2019.
And that's nowhere,
That's our break-even point, and that is not what our residents.
3 years ago, which I have to imagine it's a couple bucks more than that now.
Yeah, and our residents only pay $5.50 per thousand right now, so that's why,
Even after the,
$5.
well, yes, because we also have the
$2.50 for
$5.
But that-
It's $2.50 for water.
Yeah,
Yes.
But-
That's specifically why we charge the flat rate, not
Yeah.
the dollar rate.
yes.
I
But
think you could always do what the other community do, is switch it over to cubic feet rather than 1,000 gallons.
no, thank you. We already had one meter on that we finally got off.
There's the conversion chart.
750 gallons comes out to the 100 cubic feet. That's what Rockford does.
It's more accurate, right? Is that why they do it?
No, because it just sounds like a
Oh,
big feet.
so you can't figure it out yourself is what it boils
Yeah,
down to.
that's hard to figure out yourself, so you know where that
Exactly.
you're paying.
Okay.
All right.
so that's all I have. Well, I will get with Sandy and then I will reach back out to Al and try to see what kind of an agreement or what kind of progress we can make with this.
Does Al live in his community? Yet?
Yeah,
Oh,
Florida.
no, he lives in Florida somewhere. Something like that. And, yeah, so.
Economic development, we already talked about possible commercial project, talked about the economic development. We've got a delay on the agreements on the state infrastructure backyard barbecue grill project grant. Is there a delay on the agreements you
The
told? me?
Rebuild Illinois grant, yes, but Matt talked about that, I think, at the meeting you missed.
Okay,
so that money ain't coming right away?
So there's a delay in getting the agreement in writing to us. However, Matt's gonna move forward on the engineering because we can use our portion of what that project is going to be to pay for those costs and then use the grant to do the rest of it. But Matt wants to be ready to put it out for bid the moment that agreement hits our hands.
Is there an estimate?
Does that answer your email that I saw too?
we're limited to 2024 to spend it.
Did I have an email in my outbox stuck from a couple weeks ago?
That is quite possible.
That is very possible.
It was
I only get.
inside the fire station, but they didn't have a
Yeah.
seat.
I only get connection in this building, like.
So you have the opposite of a loop problem?
Straight.
All right, Glenda is there. I just keep losing my
We are
cat.
still on economic development. Anybody have anything? Then we'll move to public.
I do have one more thing.
Public.
All right,
Public.
I sent everybody, you included, Rick,
I saw it.
okay, to do your sexual
take it.
harassment training. Yep. Saw the email.
I'm exempt from that, right?
No.
No,
I thought if I already had it, I didn't have to do it again.
Is she coming
I
out with
need
that
proof
lady
that you
again?
did it, for sure. I need proof that you did it.
I got a
at
certificate.
the
for it.
same level that we want.
Never mind, I'll do it. I do have a certificate for it.
Okay, it's quite interesting that IP.
Sexual
Oh, this one is
harassment.
completely different than the ones you guys have been
Yes.
taking. I highly recommend.
Did you send me a link?
It's pretty good. I sent
Yeah.
it to you, right,
Yeah.
to your email.
I thought it was spam. I-
Entertaining.
So I'm gonna say, I'm
How long
gonna say
ago?
the threat that Brenda will not, if we don't get everybody to take this training, Margaret will be coming here to give you the training.
Will she
So
bring
if
that
you
link?
don't-
That was fun.
I'd like Margaret.
So if you don't want
that's
a
fine.
2-hour meeting on sexual harassment, please
No.
go take this
No.
training
Where's that?
and encourage your
Taking it?
fellow trustees in the
You
desk
said
next
take
to
it
you to
next
take
year.
it.
We have to take it every year.
Every
Is she
year.
gonna bring that associate with her?
You have to
Yeah, I
take
like
it.
Margaret.
Don't
I like
you
Well, I like
dare
Margaret too, yeah.
See?
take that
I
training.
haven't,
Yeah.
I haven't talked to her for a while, so that's probably good.
I
All
didn't
right.
see it in my box, Brenda.
Take your darn test.
Send it, oh, there it is.
Nice
There you go.
Brenda.
It's got a link.
Are there pictures?
For you, John, I'm.
Some of the flannel got dirty.
I don't see the link.
There is no link.
There's no link,
The
Brenda.
safety, did you get the safety,
I don't
There's
see
two,
the-
there's two
safety
emails.
source
Two emails.
on,
You got
Second
one from,
email.
Did we
uh,
talk to the public already?
No, Glenda's still on.
Right,
her
I
phone.
sent you
She's
one
on
telling.
Can we get to Glenda?
Yeah.
Glenda, you out there?
He got it, don't worry about it.
Oh, it's right above your
I'm here.
email.
I don't have anything, Rick. Thank you.
Oh,
All right. Anything further from board members?
motion to adjourn.
Second.
I was gonna say supervisors or reports. All right. Who made the motion?
John did.
John
Who
did.
seconded?
Chris and Nathan, so pick one.
All right.
Jen.
Us,
John made a
Chris and
motion to
Jen.
adjourn.
I
Chris,
see the Chris.
choose-
Jen seconded.
What's my login?
What time
Any
is it?
discussion?
It's Andy, what's my login?
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay.
What's my
We
username?
are adjourned at
I put it-
8:25.
It's in the email.